Thank you very much, Ambassador, for welcoming us to the consulate. I just wanted to ask you, what's the purpose of your trip this time?
So, first of all, thank you for your visit, and I always appreciate being able to explain a little bit what the Austrian Embassy to Malta is doing, and of course, what the focus of our activities is like. So, yesterday we celebrated Austria's National Day with a beautiful reception, and I've been so happy to co-host this reception together with our Honorary Consul General, Michael Bianchi, and we had invited a wonderful crowd of people, starting with the President of the Republic, but then also ministers, politicians, but we also had participants from academia, of course from the business sector. We had quite a number of people from the cultural scene, then of course lots of colleagues from other embassies, and well, of course, the Austrians living in Malta, because that's our constituency, and they always enjoy celebrating Austrian National Day with us, and for me it was a wonderful event. You know, being able to meet all those interesting people and to exchange, and also in my speech, you know, that's always a good opportunity to send a few messages and to take a stance. So it was a very beautiful occasion.
For those people who are watching us, and obviously weren't there yesterday, what was your message in a nutshell this year?
In a nutshell, I would say my message was about the cooperation between Austria and Malta, and about the friendship also between our countries. And one really important topic of my speech was, of course, neutrality, because Austria and Malta are neutral EU member states, and this is a status which creates a very close connection between our two countries. So, you know, when it comes to the European Union's defense and security policy, Austria and Malta are really close partners. So that's important for us.
That's good to hear. How is National Day celebrated in Austria?
Actually, Austrian National Day in Austria is a holiday, of course. And then, you know, you have celebrations all over the country. But in Vienna, it's really a very big thing. So the presidential chancellery has a day of open doors. Then the federal chancellery has a day of open doors. The ministries are opening their doors to the public. So that's also an opportunity, you know, for Austrians, but also for tourists to visit those buildings, because our federal president, his offices are located in the Imperial Castle, and you know, they are so beautiful. And of course, we as ambassadors, we get the opportunity to visit those places, which are wonderful. But then National Day is also an opportunity for the public to see those places, which are extraordinary. So it's the places you can see, but also at this occasion we present exhibitions in the ministries, and there are many colleagues present who give information on our activities. So we are really sharing information with the public on the day of open doors. This is a focus, but then there's also, you know, there's a huge exhibition of the Austrian armed forces, and you know, children, boys, of course, they love those exhibitions. You can imagine. There's really crowds of people visiting, and no, it's really a very big thing.
You're mentioning children. It's all about the continuity of the country's heritage. What about the story, the history of National Day of Austria?
Yes, you know, in 1945, after the end of the Second World War, Austria was occupied by Allied forces. So there was the US, Russia, France and Great Britain. So, you know, Austria is not a very big country, but it was really split in four by the occupying forces, and also the capital Vienna was split in four. So, and all those regions had a particular administration, governed of course by the occupying force. So it was a difficult period for Austria, and it lasted 10 years. So then, of course, there were always negotiations between the Austrian government and the Allied forces occupying Austria. And then finally, 1955, they came to an agreement. A contract was signed, but then, of course, it took some time until this agreement entered into force. So our National Day, that's the day after the agreement entered into force, and then that means that this agreement guaranteed Austria's independence. And
Amazing.
That's what we celebrate. That's what we celebrate.
It's always nice to know the history, I think,
Yes,
of other
yeah,
countries.
it's important. It's
You
important.
mentioned Mr. Michael Bianchi at the
Yes.
beginning of this interview. How long has he been associated with the Austrian consulate?
Well, actually, it's already more than 20 years, so 22 years that he has been serving as Austrian Honorary Consul General, and we are truly happy about it because I know, you know, the embassy is not resident, so I cannot be here all the time, but I know that the Austrians are in very good hands here. We have also a collaborator of Mr. Bianchi who is taking care of the daily affairs. So we are really happy that the Austrian concerns here in Malta are in very good hands, also when I'm not here. So no, this is really working very well because, you know, for us it's about having continued access also here to authorities, to exchange information, and yes, to discuss matters of shared interest, of course. And
I must
yeah,
say, I
works
mean,
very
it's
well.
evident that he's very active.
He is very active, that's true. And then, you know, for us it's a huge advantage that he's so well connected with the Maltese business community, because we learn a lot via his insights. So this is a great advantage. And now, you know, he has so many contacts which are also helping us. So it's really working in an excellent way. And I'm very grateful, I have to say. Yes, true.
It seems to be a very good partnership.
Yes, it is.
You obviously want to promote Austria as a destination. Again, for those watching us, what would be the highlights of a visitor coming for the first time, for example?
Yes, so if you go to Austria for the first time, there is so much to be seen, I have to say, because, Austria is a federal state. We have 9 federal states. Many visitors first go to Vienna because it's the capital and it used to be the capital of the empire. So we have really lots of amazing architecture. We have museums of worldwide renown. I mean, they are among the top global museums. It's really worth visiting. But then there's also a very interesting contemporary art scene, which has evolved over the last 50 years, I would say. So that's also worth visiting, of course. And then, you know, Austria is the country of music. So when you go to Vienna first, it should be on your agenda to attend some concert or the opera also. So, well, that would be Vienna, but there's a lot more. You know, there are those public eateries, the Heurigen, the very traditional ones. you should go there as well. You get the wine, you know, the young wine, but very good, and you get good food. So, and yeah, it's just a nice place and a very relaxed place, you know. At the Heurigen, everybody goes there. You get, you know, ministers and you get, ordinary people. So everybody goes there and everybody mingles there. It's very nice there. So that's Vienna, but a lot more to it. But then in the rest of Austria, there are so many beautiful places. I mean, every federal state has its highlights, I have to say. Me, myself, I'm from Lower Austria. And there's one region, it's also UNESCO World Cultural Heritage, Wachau. That's the valley of the Danube. And in this valley, you have lots of vineyards and historical architecture, very good food, very good wine, I have to tell you again. So that's also one of the highlights, but you have a very good contemporary arts scene and museums there as well. So a lot to be seen there. Then if you look at the other federal states, Salzburg, for instance, I mean, many Maltese already know Salzburg, but it is worth.
Especially before Christmas.
Yes, of course, the Christmas markets, that's really charming. Again, good wine, but hot wine, of course. Now the Christmas markets with all those nice souvenirs, but also quality souvenirs. You know, it's handmade souvenirs in many cases, nicely done, so very typical, of course. But then in Salzburg you also have the lakes. But then there's Tyrol, you know, with the capital of Innsbruck, city with a lot of historical architecture, and the very high mountains, the Alps, you know, so impressive landscape. You can do skiing there, of course. Then further towards Switzerland, there's Vorarlberg, also with a huge lake, you know. So, I mean, everywhere you go, you will discover something very beautiful and also very different. Because in the west of Austria, you have the Alps, which are, I mean, thousands meters high. And in the east of Austria, it's already, the landscape is with the Neusiedlersee, that's already kind of a steppe landscape. So it's really already very different. So you've got a lot. You have no access to the sea. Well, otherwise there's...
It doesn't matter if you're coming from Malta, I think.
Well,
No.
maybe.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you would like, you know, the greenery.
It sounds amazing.
Yes, there's so much greenery, and I think this is relaxing for the eye. And, well, it can be quite hot in Austria, but then, there's more rain, of course, than in Malta. So I think it can be quite relaxing.
I'd like to focus on something that's very much in the news globally, artificial intelligence. What is the government's views on regulating artificial intelligence and the way forward with it?
Excellent question. Well, you know, artificial intelligence is gaining more and more importance. I think we are just at the start of developments, and as you mentioned, we have to observe closely, because artificial intelligence can help a lot and can support our activities, but it must not replace our activities. And you are right, we have to be careful, of course, to see the developments and really look into it where there could be risks also. But then, you know, I mean, for instance, if you think about ChatGPT, it can be helpful, but we should not rely too much on it, because it's still
It should be used more as a tool.
a tool. Exactly, it can be a tool, but it's still the human brains which count, and that has to
It's very
continue to be so.
difficult to find a balance for AI to reach its potential,
Yes.
and yet have a look at the risks that it
Yes.
might bring also.
Yes, no, but we have to watch it closely. But I still think we're just at the start of it, and there will be so much more coming, which we don't know yet. So we're living in very interesting times, I think. And then, you know, of course, sometimes there's criticism that children spend so much time on the computers. And yes, true on the one hand, but on the other hand, I'm sure that they acquire capacities which we do not have yet. So they are really the digital natives, and they have competencies which are really important.
Yes.
So, and they also develop those competencies in an impressive way.
What about emerging technology in Austria? Are there any companies that are doing exceptionally well?
Yes, well, Austria, you know, has been a champion in several fields for a long time. So what we focused on already long ago was sustainable energy. And so we started already decades ago with quite a number of enterprise companies. And so, you know, as we started that early, we are doing quite well with it. But then so much more needs to be done. And there is so much evolving right now. If you ask the companies which products they will sell in 5 years, they will tell you that they do not know those projects yet. I mean, there's so much, such a rapid evolution. It's impressive, I would say. And yes, that's a strong point of Austria, certainly. Yeah.
You're speaking about evolution. What are your views on fintech and digital banking?
Well, also here, of course, there are many opportunities, for sure. And however, we need regulation. You know, even here, the risk of abuse is there. We have seen it. Cybersecurity is really an issue. So we have to be very careful. But no, of course, I mean, it can be helpful. But again, we have to be careful on it, sure, and observe it and have regulation on it.
Going forward with regards to being an ambassador here to Malta, what do you have planned for the next year?
Yes, good question, thank you. Well, you know, we are currently having lots of exchanges between members of the Austrian government and members of the Maltese government, and that's wonderful because that's always a moment where there's an exchange on the very high level and also follow up, you know. So, of course, we are now looking forward to a very high level exchange, which will take place soon between Austria and Malta. So that's excellent. And of course, I look forward to having other members of the Austrian government exchanging with members of the Maltese government next year. That has to be on the agenda, of course, and in the political field. Then in the economic sphere, yesterday at our reception, we have also presented the new Austrian commercial councillor. Well, actually, he's based in Milano, but of course coming over to Malta and meeting many people from the business scene here. And well, we are exploring possibilities for further cooperation, you know, for further, I don't know, probably Austrian companies who might probably establish a branch in Malta also. So we will delve into this question of business cooperation and exchange. Certainly that will be very important next year, of course. Then, you know, when it comes to our consular services, meaning that we provide assistance to Austrians living in Malta or Austrian tourists who come to Malta, then of course we will continue those services for sure. We have an Austrian Maltese association here, so of course we will continue those activities, of course. And then in the cultural spheres, there's already a number of projects, and well, just one project which I would like to mention ahead. At the University of Malta, there's a department for German language, and we are about to establish an Austrian library at this department of German. We have already provided about 200 books. A further delivery is on the way, and we are already preparing for the next delivery of Austrian books. In order,
so when are the books available for?
Well, now the books which have already arrived are here for registration at the university, and then, you know, registration takes a certain time, and then they will be there in the library as of February, I would say.
So it seems to be something that you've set up. I noticed, speaking to you here, watching you yesterday delivering your speech, you're very passionate about what you do.
Yes, I am. True. I truly love it. It's true. Yes. No.
It's very evident. What motivates you?
You know, the love of people. I would say the love for people. That's what motivates me, and my profession gives me the opportunity to bring people together. You know, people from Austria and people from Malta, to bring them together, and to have them exchange and to have them cooperate. And I find it so motivating. And there are so beautiful outcomes, you know, because when people get to know each other, they understand each other, they acknowledge each other's talents, they work together, they even complement in a way their activities. So that's so beautiful, you know.
How does it work well for you, being here some of the time and traveling to and from Austria? It does.
Yes, it does work well for me, I have to say. Actually, I call it best of two worlds.
Yes, absolutely.
I do, because
I think you have to work harder, in a way.
Yes, I do. That's also true. But okay, it's worth it. It's worth it. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it. No, and I truly enjoy it. And then, you know, I can see those really wonderful results of my work. And, you know, I mean, that motivates you to do more. So, therefore, it is really a pleasure, I have to say. Yes.
Thank you very much for your time, Ambassador,
Yes.
and I really wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much, Leah. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Grazzi Sinjuri li segwetu il-Culture News illum fejn tajna ħarsa lejn il-kultura tal-Awstrija u tkellimna mal-ambaxxatriċi tal-Awstrija. Jekk għandkom xi kummenti batuhom permezz tal-WhatsApp fuq in-numru li jidher fuq l-iskrin. Jiena Leja Hogg għal Netti Fissa nifqu għal waqfa qasira.